Puerto Rico, week 15. What a hell of a time it's going to be. I have to say that. I am your host, Moose, from Occupy Fantasy, occupyfantasy.com, at Occupy Fantasy on Twitter. I'm at CFB underscore Moose. I'll be your host today for the week 13 edition of the $1,000,000 Mission, where we go ahead and review Brian's top lineups, or 150 lineups on DraftKings and FanDuel for his quest to win another $1,000,000 in DFS. I'm alongside Brian Jester FF on Twitter. Brian, what's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, most exciting weekend, huh? Yeah, we got some big things planned and really exciting times here for both of us and everyone in Occupy Fantasy.
Yeah, as you don't know, on the Twitch title, Brian won not one but two entries into the WFFC main event down in Puerto Rico. So,
Love the tongue
uh,
roll. Nice moves.
dating a Spanish person for 6 years has that influence. Yeah. So again, as we like to talk about, granted, this was a great week for you. However, it is still time to review. See still some things you did wrong, if there were any. See if you did some things that were really right, and answer your questions in the meantime. If you're here watching this replay on YouTube, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and ding dong bell notification so you get notified of when we upload new videos. If you're watching this replay here on Twitch, hit the follow button, the purple heart at the top right. You get notified of when we go live. If you're watching this live, do the same thing. If you're also here live, say what's up in the chat. Say hello. Congratulations. If you have any questions, this is the time to ask them. Normally during our Twitch streams, we do require VIPs or Prime members, subscribers to ask questions. But during this $1,000,000 mission, that chat room is open free. All right.
Yes, sir. Any questions you have about the lineups in general from last week, about strategy, about this upcoming week, or about the live final, what our plans are, definitely hop in the chat and let us know because we'll talk about that too throughout the stream.
Yes, absolutely. So, I see we got Jake in here. Says, "Yo, what was the qualifier you won tickets on? I lost track of that spare change tournament last week."
Yeah, so there were two different WFFC qualifiers that I played last week. One was a $15 entry fee, 120 max. It was around 4,000 people. And the other was a $250 qualifier, which was 6 max, and that was 200 people. And what I did was I maxed the Sunday Million anyway, so I had 150 lineups. So I put 120 of those lineups into that $15. And then I picked my 6 favorite ones and put them into the $250 200 player one.
Okay.
Just so happens that two different lineups. One won the 200 player, a different one won the 4,000 player. It was, I mean, a lot of my lineups were near the top, and so I could have picked a handful of lineups moves and won the 200 player one. It was a pretty solid weekend on FanDuel.
I know it was like a little tug pull because one of your top levers plays Mike Williams. All he had to do was break a tackle,
Yeah.
and you absolutely crush it. But he came back, hit it for you again. Let's see here. So as we like to do on here, we like to look at your weeks and year to dates just for the $1,000,000 tournaments. Bismo in the chat was said, "What's up, man?"
So Desmo.
And real quick, while I'm getting that up, remember if you are a Twitch Prime subscriber, go ahead and you get access to our Discord channel where we chat it up, talk strategy. As Bismo says, did Moose just say Mike Williams? I do have to say real quick, I don't think I've seen any other community that has triggers like this where whether it's me, you, Chris, Lucas, even some of our members, where we have our alerts essentially set up that if something happens, boom, we're right there. I don't know if it's how that works, but it does.
It was pretty timely for Bismo to hop in the chat as soon as you mentioned Mike Williams. It was within seconds, so that was impressive, Bismo.
Absolutely. All right. So as we pull up, Jimmy says, "Hola, what's up, Jimmy? Glad to have you on board."
What's up, Jimmy?
All right. So let's get this out here. So your FanDuel, Week 13 FanDuel Sunday Million, plus 49%, 1350 entry fees, a little over 2K in winnings. Pretty impressive considering you had no satellite tickets.
Yeah. Again, there are no millionaire satellites really for me anymore, so it's hard to get those tickets on FanDuel. Really, really close to breaking it this week. Had a couple lineups in that top couple hundred in the million.
Hmm.
Really, really close. So yeah, excited about what happened on FanDuel. I had a really good strategy. A lot of the strategy we literally talked about on our Saturday stream about 3x1 stacking, going one side of games, and I went with that strategy on FanDuel. So yeah, pretty good outcome and really close to being another huge outcome.
Absolutely. So real quick, Jimmy Touchdown resubscribed. He is on a 2 month streak, uh, and he also shared rewards to 5 others in the chat. Honestly, I'm not even really sure what that means.
Five emote shared. So I think people who are not subscribers, the 5 people that he gifted these rewards to will have access to the Occupy emotes,
Okay. Cool.
I believe.
Cool. All right, and yeah. So with that being said, that was your winnings on FanDuel. DraftKings was almost the opposite. 2760 in entry fees, 1900 in winnings for minus 31% ROI. I have a
Which is
question for you. Go ahead.
no. Your question probably is what I'm about to say. So let me hear your question.
I was gonna say, do you think you're getting a higher ROI on FanDuel since they've essentially balanced out the prize pool a little bit better?
Maybe that could be why. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's definitely possible. But they've also shortened the field a bit too.
Hmm.
I don't know. I actually had the same exact stacks and types of plays over on DraftKings,
Huh.
so it's pretty interesting to see the differences. Yeah, I didn't make any changes to stacks. The same squads I used over on the same core I used over on FanDuel used on
Hmm.
DraftKings. Guess I just didn't have any of the right combinations somehow.
That's crazy. Looking at your year to dates on DraftKings, 39.7K in entry fees, 23.1K in winnings, minus 42% ROI.
Hooray!
Yeah. However, on FanDuel, a little bit different. Entry fees 15.5K, 113K in winnings for a ROI of plus 729%.
Tale of two sites, huh? It's kind of funny because I've always had more success on DraftKings than FanDuel up until this NFL season. So really interesting.
Yep, absolutely. And so we got a couple questions in here. Um, Bismo says 3x1 equals Wentz, Miles, Alshon, and Parker.
Yeah. So for my allocations, I had 17% of a Philly 3x1 stack. So 17% of my 150 lineups on both FanDuel and on DraftKings had 3 Philly players, including Wentz, and then one Miami player running it back. Parker was in almost all of those. Had a couple with Allen Hurns. And then as far as the positional players for Philly, almost all Miles Sanders, a ton Alshon Jeffrey, a lot of Dallas Goddard, and then a little bit of Nelson Aguilar in there.
Makes sense. And then Hova too, who is a subscriber, shout out to him, says he has a
Oh,
question. If I'm making 10 lineups, how big should my player pool be?
yeah, that's a really good question. And without saying exactly how many, because it's going to vary from week to
Mm-hmm.
week and depending on the slate. But smaller is better. Like you want a couple of guys who are 80 or 100% in those lineups. Maybe 2 game stacks. Unless there's 2 different ways to go about it. I think is you can either have 1 or 2 game stacks and then really have core players mixed around them,
Mm-hmm.
or you can have like 3 or 4 guys that use in almost every lineup and then mix some stacks in around them. So really, it's really up to you. But the takeaway is less is better for that number of lineups.
Mm-hmm. Great question, Hova. Yeah, if anyone else here has questions,
Oh,
whether it's about Brian's lineups, our trip to Puerto Rico for the WFFC, questions about how to better yourself, or just any questions in general, definitely go ahead and let us know. With that being said, I believe that's Paul in here. Says, can you
what's up,
break
Paul?
down how the DFS Magic stacks piece work? I know how to make group easily on Roto, for example, but the stacks on DFS Magic was for some reason confusing me. Do you mind breaking that down a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we can. I don't think DFS Magic's ready for this week, so I don't think we can pull up a screen share, right, Moose?
Let me look here if it's available.
I don't think we can, but I can try to explain it as best as
Yeah.
possible verbally.
Um, Let me see. Yeah, no, not up right now. Um,
Okay.
yeah, because Paul, you're in the Discord. So at once the DFS Magic gets up, we'll be able to tell you a lot more, and we'll share some screenshots and stuff as well. But do you want to explain, Brian?
Yeah. So for the stacks, what we want to do is we use that for game stacks. And I'm trying to just cover every base here as far as, not under explaining but not over explaining either. So it's gonna be tough. But basically, for example, I had 6 different game stacks that I wanted. So what I would do, let's say the Philly Miami game, for example, in DFS Magic, which for those who don't know is a lineup builder that we partner with, that where you can import model values from our Occupy model directly. I would choose Wentz as a quarterback in my player pool. That would add Philly Miami game to the game stack setting. And I would set 3 guys for Miami, and then you can set the number of opponent players you want. I just wanted 1, so I would set 1. And then you can say whether or not you want a receiver in that stack. From the Philly side, I can say if I want 2 tight ends to be possible, which I usually never do. I can say if I want 2 running backs to be in that 3-by-1 stack. And then there's a final column, aggressive salary use, which I've never unchecked it, and I always just check it just to make sure my salary gets up there. That's really all it comes down to. If you have another specific question, Paul, I'd be happy to answer. But really, that's how I use my stacks, depending on how many players I want from each side in that game.
Makes sense. Yep, absolutely. Jimmy has the testimony, says he's picked up 3 milli tickets since playing DK20 lineup stuff. Thank you for that advice. Nice savings. Yeah. Again, I don't know why some people think this way, but satellites are the way to go. They really are. No, yeah. Jake says, any idea how many extra points are blocked in return for 2 a year? Trying to figure out how bad that beat was. It was pretty bad. It was bad.
Jake, I know it was bad for you. I really, really know it was bad for you. Pretty big swing. I think the best way to frame this is just be fortunate that you lost the amount you lost, because the guy who was in first place in the DK Million lost $960,000 on that blocked extra point return. So I know you lost a lot and it sucked, but on the bright side, at least you're not that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he posted in the Roto Grinders forum, and he was basically like, this blows, but I need to be thankful that I at least got 40,000.
Yeah. Like, also, Jake said he would have finished 8th in the millie with his lineup, so maybe I take that back. That kind of sucks, Jake.
Oh man, that does suck. Higher if not for the return. Oh.
All right. Well, on the bright side, at least they returned it, and you wouldn't have finished higher because you didn't enter, so you're good.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. I thought there was one other question. Bismo says, "Yeah, are you gonna hunt for another live WFFC ticket?"
Yeah, I do have one random $333 ticket for this weekend. Debating. I mean, at this point, an extra ticket would be worth a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's a 10 max, $333. So I'll probably do something with that. There's another, I think, $20 one. I haven't decided yet, so we'll see. But I think I'll try to get one more, because if I can get 3 out of 80 total entries, it sets me up pretty well. So we'll see. But I think I'll be trying.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. Plus, you can bring some more people to Puerto Rico with you.
Yeah. True. So yeah, for those who don't know, Moose is coming to Puerto Rico with me. We're gonna be repping Occupy to the fullest. Got a busy weekend planned. It's gonna be exciting, Moose.
Yeah, I actually can't wait. Like I was telling you earlier, I was listening to Luda on Spotify like all day today.
Yeah, for those who also don't know, there's like a private after party where Ludacris is performing. Really weird get for them, Ludacris in Puerto Rico, but hey, I'm pumped for it. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So, with that being said, your combined. We did your DraftKings and FanDuel. Your year to date. Oop, I totally messed up that. Yes, year to date, 55K in entry fees, 136K in winnings for 247% ROI. That's pretty solid.
Also, Jake said this sounds like the new Fire Festival, and that's like my number one biggest concern about this is it ended up being a Fire Festival, and we have no reason to believe that. FanDuel's put on many live final events, but I can't help but having that documentary replay in the back of my head. I will say, details about the trip.
Has FanDuel had the live final in a jurisdiction where DFS is illegal?
Yeah, and it's recently illegal. I guess people had been able to play FanDuel for a long time in Puerto Rico, and I think that's why FanDuel chose that location earlier in the year. As of very recently, you're not allowed to play FanDuel in Puerto Rico, so it'll be interesting for a lot of the people there trying to play.
I was talking to a couple people, like how I don't know what the logistics is. I'm sure you're talking with FanDuel about it, but what if like legit like 15 people just go there thinking they can put their lineup in and they don't, and now you're instead of 80 people qualifying for the live final. It's like 60.
I'll be fucking tight, but I don't think it's gonna be the case because if anyone who has ever had a ticket on FanDuel before knows, they automatically enter you into the contest. And so that's the part you can't do in Puerto Rico. You cannot enter content. So you'll automatically be.
Okay.
I'll be entered by the time we get down there,
Okay.
and you can edit lineups anywhere in the world. So that won't be an issue. It's really for the people who are looking to play other contests while they're down there.
Makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we have that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be vibing in Puerto Rico.
Chris is killing the chat. Says it actually is Fire Festival because it's being hosted by a long snapper. So again, I'm gonna say this a lot for those who don't know. If you haven't read the WFFC page with info, last year it was hosted by Ray Lewis, the party. This year it's hosted by a former long snapper. So pretty big downgrade. And as Chris says, it's actually a Fire Festival themed live final. Get ready for your cheese sandwiches and FEMA tents. Yeah, super pumped.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so real quick, so I see we got some new people in here. Real quick, we are going over Brian's $1 million mission. His goal to earn another $1 million in DFS this year. He already has 2 tickets to the WFFC final live in Puerto Rico. Not this weekend, but next weekend. If you have any questions, definitely go ahead and make sure you ask them in the chat. If you want to go ahead and subscribe, you get access to our Discord channel. If you don't want to go that far, still hit that follow button and be notified of when we go live. We'll definitely be doing some live shows.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but also, can't complete the $1 million mission at the live final. However, that same weekend is the Fan Championship online final where there is $1 million to first. I have a few entries. I know a lot of our members and viewers are trying to get entries to that as well. So I'm really excited for that tournament. 16,000 people, probably $1 million to first. It's gonna be good.
Yep. Paul says, I don't know anything about the WFFC final. What is it? TLDR. I sent him the link, but basically it's a live final between 80 entries. Top prize is $500,000. Get flown out to Puerto Rico. Huge concert, huge party, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all expenses paid at some resort. And like Moose said, it's 80 people, and all 80 spots get paid. I think 80th place gets 10K. So automatically guaranteed 10K with at least one entry, so 20K for me. But yeah, so now at this point, free rolling for 500K.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Maybe when we get closer to it, we'll maybe discuss some sort of strategy. Maybe I'm not sure how you want to go about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the people that are watching our streams, maybe they are. I don't know, but I'm less inclined to talk about my specific strategy for it. But maybe high level, we can talk about what my plan is.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so as we go in, what we see here in the back is a Fantasy Labs contest dashboard. It's a fantastic free resource. I highly recommend people to check it out. We always talk about, using free resources. This is one of the top ones. You can go and check out all the top level GPPs for DraftKings across multiple sports. You can look at all of the entrants, player pools, exposures, leverages, etc. What I have up here right now is Brian's top leverage plays. Let's see here. Looking at there. Bismo says, I need to start thinking strategy for my 34 lines. Does he have 34 into the WFFC Fan Championship?
No, I think we both wish that was the case. He has an $18 qualifier this weekend that is for no experienced players were allowed to qualify for it. So it's a pretty soft field, and he has 34 entries. Like 1 out of every 15 people get a ticket.
Wow.
And awards a bunch of tickets. So got a chance to get multiple tickets there. And I think we should probably talk about that just for a second here, as this is a multi-entry strategy video that we always do. So 34, I think, obviously it's a little more than 20 max that we talk about. I would probably pick, I think you could still do 3 game stacks, probably.
See, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I know we talk about 3 game stacks with 150. So in theory, again, quick maths, as Chris would say, 50 lineups for each stack. I've actually been inclined to, when I've been doing my 20 lineups, I'm usually sticking with 1, maybe 2 stacks, but more times than not, I'm leaning towards 1 game stack. Again, as we have that smaller core of players, just swapping them around. If that goes off, you're really doing well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think especially for GPPs, I'm just not sure if that's the way to approach it for a satellite like this, where the top 15% or top 10%, top 8, I don't know whatever the number is, gets the same prize.
Yeah,
like you want to give yourself a different amount of chances to try to get at least one ticket, because one ticket's worth a lot more than zero in this sense. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would probably play a handful of game stacks and maybe have some core guys that you have 75-80% of.
Hmm.
But again, we have a few days to talk about it, and we'll definitely on Saturday stream we'll definitely talk some more strategy for you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like, can anyone hear me? Could some people say in the chat? Looks like my streaming software said I'm down, but it looks like we're still up. Can someone just comment in the chat real quick to say we're good as we
I
wait?
can hear you.
Okay, let's
Let me
see.
see.
Bismo says it's 16 and 2/3 cash in the qualifier. So yeah, yeah. All right, everyone said we're good. Jake says it's been hiccuping some. I think that's because my neighbors are stealing the Wi-Fi, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
change that password,
Yeah,
bro.
I know. I change it like every week. Cool. All right, back to this. Looking at some of your top leverage plays, bunch of wide receivers that were on your, or I guess our underperforming wide receiver list. Curtis Samuel, Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, Mike Williams were your players above 20% leverage. You want to kind of talk about them for a little bit?
Yeah, I think we mentioned on Saturday that we were talking about the weather, and I wish I could remember who asked the question. Maybe it was Jake who said, since the weather's so bad, are we more inclined to play 3 running backs? And I think my answer was along the lines of, there's so many underperforming wide receivers this week, and
Mm-hmm.
that's also the case this upcoming week for week 14, that I'm more inclined in high risk contests to go 3 receivers or flex a receiver just to get access to all those guys. And that's what I did on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I want
Mm-hmm.
as much of Samuel Evans, Sutton, Mike Williams, McLaurin, Chris Conley, Odell, like all those guys, Robert Woods. I wanted to get all those guys in my lineup. Cortland Sutton was the guy I liked the most of the group. I think he was at the top of the list. And unfortunately, on DraftKings, I didn't get him in nearly as many lines as I did on
Mm-hmm.
FanDuel.
Yeah. Scooby says I need to change the password to Moose.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. About that, and I also made the comment, not to kind of tap myself on the back for that, but it's like, if everything is shitty, then everything is normal. So
Yeah.
just play the same way you kind of been playing. Some of it's gonna have to turn up, and hey, plays that did turn up turned up.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And also, not to pat myself on the back, but on Saturday stream, we talked about maybe not fully game stacking this week. And I had been really rigid in the first 10, 11 weeks of the season, and only going 3x2 or a 3x1 on FanDuel. Both sides of the same game in 3 different games. However, this week, because of the weather, because of some shitty plays on some sides of the ball, like Philly, Miami, at least I thought, there were 3 games where I only went one side of the game. So instead of going half Philly, half Miami, I just did only half. I just did all Philly. So that worked out a lot.
Yeah, and we talk about this on every $1 million mission, where you have to learn something. We every week, whether you win, lose, draw, whatever. Starting from week 1, I think we've all learned a significant amount
Yeah.
from about mass multi-entry. Like you said before, week 1 you're like 3x2 both sites every single time, maximize the shit out of upside. Then you're like, all right, let's dial back a little bit. Let's think about this in different terms. And I mean, your ROI shows it. You're in the hundreds of percents of ROI, which is just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, like we learned about maybe not fully stacking on FanDuel, 3x1 being the
Mhm.
max because of the scoring.
Yeah.
And then yeah, not necessarily having to game stack. So yeah.
Yeah, Lucas has a great question. For those who don't know, Lucas is our college football plug writer, spring training and preseason research expert. If you have to check out his college football daily plug, absolutely fantastic. I need to bring him back on here for another Twitch episode.
Yes.
That was really, really fun. His question is: was there any preference on buy low wide receivers this week, or is it primarily a mix of the list and the OF model?
Yeah, good question, Lucas. My priority kind of goes like this: guys who are in game stacks that I really like. So Devontae Parker, Alshon Jeffrey was an easy choice there. The next, guys who play each other on the list to get that added upside in the same game. So, for instance, I had a lot of Mike Williams versus Cortland Sutton, and then guys who are just one-offs, not playing another by underperforming receiver, not in a game stack that I'm using. Those guys I'll use less of. So
Mhm.
really, it's stack playing each other one-offs.
Yep, absolutely. Um, I don't know. Polf says my wife is from Puerto Rico. I'll be there also. So awesome, man. That's
Oh,
cool.
sick.
Hova says congrats on the trip to Puerto Rico, guys. Appreciate it. Should be a lot
Yeah,
of fun
appreciate
down
it.
there.
Yeah, really excited. I mean, Sunday is gonna be nuts. We get to sweat that live with 78 other people. We'll be down there with the infamous Chipotle brothers. Osimo is gonna be down there. So who's who of DFS will be there. It'll be pretty interesting to grind that out. And like I said before, I got my eyes are on that top prize for the live final, but can't forget about the fan championship too, because I could very easily get the last two spots in the live final, but do well in the fan championship. So it's gonna be a sweat regardless.
Yeah. Bismo says if Moose wears the dress in PR and takes a pic, I'll cheer 10,000 bits. Um,
They ain't gonna let Moose home if he does that in Puerto Rico.
well, no, here's the thing. It's like I had to sign an affidavit. It was like I will not
Oh
do
yeah,
anything detrimental to the FanDuel group, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen.
yeah. The
Especially if I wear a
affidavit.
dress in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that probably breaks the waiver you signed. Yeah, they make you sign a pretty intense affidavit. So wearing a dress during the event probably qualifies for that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So some of the guys on the other side of the way. Let's take a look back on the reverse leverage side. Uh, I didn't expect him to be this high, but your top under leverage play was Tyler Higbee. We talked about him extensively. Do you want to say why you only went 6.7% of him in your lineups on DraftKings?
Yeah, a lot of the tight ends that I had in my player pool were part of my stacks, and so I think that drove down the exposure to Higby. Also, I like Doyle more. That
Mm-hmm.
shows by my higher exposure to him.
Yeah.
It really came down to that. I mean, I liked Higby. Obviously, I mean, it really is a unstoppable force. This Arizona tight end defense, who a backup can just come in and go off for 100 and a touch.
Yeah. And it looks like Polf says he'll be in the final as well. So congrats to him, man.
Oh shit! And he's from Maryland. Represent. What's up, bro? Where are you from in Maryland? I'm really curious.
Yeah, we're both from Maryland.
Yeah, let's link up when we're down there for sure.
Yep. Um, let's see. Yeah. All right. Yep. Yeah. Tyler Higbee crushed. It was awesome. Uh,
He did crush. Yeah.
yeah. I do want to take a look here. This is your top FanDuel lineup. If this works properly on stream, you had a total of 175 points. This finished 55th. So pretty damn close.
Yeah, man. I was really hoping that Denver game went into overtime, that fucking pass interference call. But yeah, this was close to popping off. McCaffrey had a down game. Saquon he's been having down games, but had a down game. Um, but yeah, this was close. Goddard, if I'd have done if this had been a Sanders Jeffrey lineup instead of a Jeffrey Goddard lineup, might have had a better chance. But I had, like I said, a couple lineups in the top 100, 200.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a decent sweat there at the end.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I know when Sutton popped off, but really, I wasn't even following your Millie Maker lineups, your Millionaire Maker Sunday Million lineups, and so I was just following your WFFC. So when Sutton was popping off, I didn't even know he was popping off this hard for you in the Sunday Million.
Yeah, to be fair, I wasn't following this closely either. I was more worried about the WFFC tickets.
Yeah.
I would occasionally check back and forth, and then once I was in first in the 4,000 player contest, I was like, oh, my lineups are, and I looked, I had like what 4 in the top 10 of that contest. So
Yeah,
I
that's
have a
pretty
chance
sick.
so let me. That's when I started sweating over there.
Yeah. Hova says, first time hearing about you guys this year. How long have you guys been doing this for? What's the second half year? 2.5 years?
Yeah, this is the third NFL season for us. First year we've been doing it on Twitch. So OccupyFantasy.com has been up for 3 years now, or this is I guess the third season. So, but yeah, new to Twitch this season.
Yep, absolutely. Pof says he's from Pasadena. Shout out Anne Arundel County.
There's like a weird amount of poker players and DFS players from Pasadena. Yeah,
Okay.
shout out.
Shout out. Yeah. So taking a look at that, and not only again to grow and learn, you need to expand from your bubble and what you did. We always like to take a look at some of the top players on here. Let's take a look at the person who won the million on DraftKings. You can go to the leaderboard tab here on Fantasy Labs, and you can take a look at the user. their entries, the total number of entries they had, and then their entry. Of course, 150 lineups rule again,
And
having
they
for the
they
top five
dominate.
spot.
Wow, they dominated the top 10 this week. The 150 maxers.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and if we take a
So there
look,
was some controversy, right? Most because the top two lineups tied.
yeah, I think Fantasy Labs is screwed up here because it says the salary was $73,000.
Yeah, it seems wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, the top two tied. Um,
Also, wait, the dude who got third and lost all that money only had one lineup.
yeah, that's why he was. That's why I was like, how is he not doing bad things right now?
That sucks. God damn. I don't know why I just because he posted on Roto Grinders, right? So I
Yeah.
just figured he was entering more than one lineup. Oh my god, that sucks.
Imagine if that was like your like a I don't want to say BS, but like because it's not. But like, what if you just like lucked out, won like a 25 cent or $1 satellite ticket, and you're like, oh, let me put this together and try this out, and then this happens.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
It did. Yep. All right. So the top lineup from the 150 guy had Wentz, Derrick Henry, stuff like that. Let's look at his exposures.
Yeah, both him because they had the same lineup. So both Carney and this other dude. Let's see what
Gotcha.
they did.
Yep. So let's see here.
Also, how much does that suck if you win the million but you have to split?
That would suck pretty hard.
I would not know about that.
So he had 69 players in his player pool. Nice.
Very nice.
Top play or top owned play for him was Tyler Higbee. So he must have
Damn,
done well.
80% Higbee.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Damn, and he had 52% Doyle. He must have had. Oh man, I can't believe it. This guy must have had some two tight end lineups.
All right, so I know we talk about this. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just bringing it up for conversation. If you have smash spots like this, especially with a tight end 2,800, do you think there's a possibility you could do maybe 5% of your lineups in a combination like that?
I don't think it's. Yeah, this was a pretty unusual week where Doyle and Higbee were super underpriced. So yeah, I don't think it's as bad this week.
Yeah,
I still miserable about it, but
so
yeah.
you figure it would allow you to pay up for maybe another running back, another wide receiver, maybe pay up for defense a little bit. Granted, in hindsight, it looks like a great play to play them both. But looking back before that, again, this may be the spot where you only do just a tiny bit. Again, just something to think about.
Yeah, and as Chris says, a lot of the optimizers wanted to jam both those guys in. I know the Roto Grinders optimizer is very. I don't even know if open's the right word. I think it's mandatory. Like the Roto Grinders optimal and the Roto Grinders optimizer really forces two tight ends a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So not to speculate on where these guys got their lineups or how they built their lineups, but very possible that both these guys used optimizers.
Yeah, I would say anyone who's doing 150 lineups are probably using some form of optimizer, whether it's a basic Excel solver or something extremely fancy like DFS Magic, which is what we've partnered with.
Right. Very true.
So let's take a look at the other guy. I think it was FJ Bourne had 59 players. And again, his top play was Tyler Higbee at 63% owned.
Yeah, and just reinforces the fact that if you really like a play and he's an extreme value, then you should go way overboard, and that's what both these guys did.
Yeah. Pof has a comment. He says he thinks the Detroit-Minnesota stack will take it down this week. Do you have any opinion on that game?
David Blau wins somebody $1 million. That will be like Jack from DFS Magic, who's now won 70K with Mr. Trubisky. That would be an achievement unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely. What is his salary? I'm wondering.
Who?
Like David Blau's salary.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't literally for week 14 yet, so I'm not sure.
I'm just curious because if let's say someone wins $1 million, does that mean they've won more money than he gets paid? Because I'm looking here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's no way
he gets paid $500,000. So imagine like if you reach out to him, like get in touch with him. It's like, hey, bro, I won $1 million with you, more than you get an entire season.
He's like, yo, hook it up.
And,
Where's my fee?
Scooby says 150 lineups. I can't even get 150 Pokemon. Why? There's actually been a lot of Pokemon chat across different chats today.
Yeah, there actually has been.
Yeah. Speaking of the mass multi-entry, though, I do like what FanDuel does with they have their pooch punt. what is it called for basketball? The pump fake or something like that.
Yeah.
150 lineups for 5 cents. On Monday, they actually did it for 2 cents. So for very, very small amounts, you can get practice 150 lineup maxing. Really, really cool. I like it. It's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best for people who say, well, if I can make 150 lineups, I would win all the money too, without realizing that it's incredibly tough and a completely different game than building just a couple of lineups. So yeah, if you're interested in trying out 150 lineups, if you think that that's the case, go try the pooch punt on FanDuel, the whatever it's called, on the pump fake on for basketball, and you'll see how difficult it is.
But you know what's funny is I was on Reddit, the one DFS subreddit, and some guy was complaining about that. He's like, "Oh man, this is luck," and some guy was like, "Just play 150 lineups." I was like, "I don't." He goes, "I don't have the money for that." And then someone came and said, "Here's the pooch punt. If you really think all it takes is just 150 lineups, go win it." And then he came back and was like, it's not worth my time and money for that. Just $500." I was like,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see here. Yeah. So then back to the leaderboard. Let's see someone else. If there was anyone else that we'd like to look up there. Some guy I've been seeing a lot recently is that TJ guy. He's a pretty big player there, I believe.
Top 10 player, yeah by Roto Grinders rankings.
Yeah. The other thing we like to look at is duplicate lineups. Fantasy Labs has this thing in their contest dashboard where you can look at the most duplicated lineups. So this here, 191 users did this lineup 194 times. And guess what? Hashtag two tight ends.
Tight ends.
But to be honest, though, that's actually a solid lineup.
Let's see. It's a Mahomes.
So Mahomes.
Is Mahomes with no stack?
Yeah. Minus the whole no stack part. Like, for a random optimizer, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that lineup scored a lot of points, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But then it's you see kind of crazy things like this. There's one user who entered this same lineup 100 times, with an Andy Dalton, Alden Tate, Demaryius Thomas. So I guess it's not that bad of a lineup, but he did do 2 tight ends, so that's hashtag not good.
Anytime you can play Andy Dalton and 2 tight ends in the same lineup and enter it 100 times in the middle, gotta do it.
Gotta do it, bro. Yeah, and then let's see the other 2 lineups that were entered, at least 100 by 100 different users, both of which were Jack Doyle, Tyler Higbee.
Pretty interesting, but yeah, again, these are probably from an optimizer that we think we know who it is. We're not. There's no point in speculating. Yeah. But yeah, the same every week. We see a 2 tight end lineup that is the most used, likely from an optimizer.
Yep. If you take a look here at the position usage, next tab shows what percentage of positions were in the flex spot, as it makes sense, with this huge value with Tyler Higbee, Jack Doyle, Travis Kelce. 17.7% of entries had a tight end in the flex spot.
That's the highest we've seen all season, right?
I think so. There was another double-digit one, I think, back week 5. But, yeah, that's definitely one of the highest.
Yeah, and again, it makes sense this week.
So. Yeah, and I was going to say, it shows that you had leverage where you wanted to jam more wide receivers in the flex spot. If those wide receivers pop off, they're going to have lower ownership, shoot you up the leaderboards a lot higher, a lot quicker.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then last, I don't even know if this is going to work because apparently the salary thing is broke here. Salary distribution, apparently 100% of the entries did a $10,600 salary, which is that's not true.
Yeah, clearly fucked up. So
yeah. All right. We'll be here for a couple more minutes. Does anyone have any last questions? Scooby says, "Are you able to tilt your camera down slightly to get that frame out of the light?" Yeah. Let me put it down here some. See if that works. Let's see if that's better for you, Scooby.
Nice.
Yep. Polf says, "I currently use FC, as it means Fantasy Cruncher. How much do you charge a month?" If you want to take that, Brian?
Yeah, if you subscribe to Occupy Fantasy right now, and this is a limited time only, you get DFS Magic included for free. However, in the next couple of weeks, it will be a paid add-on. And while I don't think it's 100% yet, but I think Occupy Fantasy membership plus DFS Magic will be $30 a month, from what I understand.
Okay, cool.
But right now, at least for the time being, it's free to try out with the Occupy Fantasy membership.
Yep. And if you get the annual subscription, it's as low as $2 per week.
Yep.
Without that, it's so $6 a week, $20 a month, or $99 a year. Hova says, I suck at picking a defense. Is there any tips that you guys can give?
For sure. So Lucas also had a question too, asking about how much the Oakland, Kansas City weather issue bumped up my Kansas City defense ownership. Not a ton, really. That was just more the fact that they were 10-point home favorites.
Mm-hmm.
It really was that simple for me, and they ranked pretty high in the model. Hova, yeah, I honestly, what I do is I look at our model and I'll take the top 5 defenses, and then I'll add in like maybe 1 to 3 more if either they're in a different price range than the 5 I picked, or especially if they're cheaper than those 5.
Mm-hmm.
Really, what it comes down to is being a favorite, getting pressure on the quarterback, and then some line movements in their favor in the betting markets also helps too. So those are the 3 main factors. Obviously, I think pressure probably ends up being the most important.
Yep. And I do see that we have a lot of new people in here, so they may not know exactly what we do. If Polf has a question about, do we have an optimizer? Yeah, so OccupyFantasy.com is partnered with DFS Magic, the lineup optimizer, the smartest optimizer in the industry right now for NFL and NBA. It's won you over $1 million. It's won Jack, the creator, I think 100,000 so far, probably something like that. Yeah, yeah. Again, we provide great value. Go ahead. You want to continue?
Yeah. So we do content. We have our real-time player models. We have our daily plug write-ups. We partner with DFS Magic, who is a separate entity. They have a lineup builder right now. Only Occupy Fantasy members can access it, and it imports values directly from the Occupy model. And like Moose said, this is the same optimizer I used to win the $1 million back in February. Same optimizer I used to win the 100K 3 weeks ago. Same optimizer I used to build these WFFC winning lineups 2 days ago. So yeah.
And for those who don't know, the Occupy model is made by yours truly. For NFL, we use over 150 different metrics to build a real-time player dashboard. Updates in real time as injuries happen, projections change, betting odds change. All that goes into one easy-to-read number, the OF index. Again, sortable, all the different columns. Really, really awesome. I really recommend you guys to check out. Go ahead.
Just to continue with his question,
Yeah.
Sub to 2 sites. Yeah, it is 2 separate sites. Like I said, in a couple of weeks, whenever DFS Magic, whenever we get this worked out, DFS Magic will be a standalone, and you can purchase that. But you'd have to upload your own projections. If you want to use our projections, you'd have to have an Occupy membership.
Yeah. So right now, if you sign up for OccupyFantasy.com, you'll get your login. Once you have that login, send us an email that you're a member and you want access to DFS Magic, and we'll go ahead and send you over the information.
Yeah, you can try that out too. So,
yeah, absolutely. So rapid fire. If no one has any more questions, we'll get up out of here, but we'll wait for a couple minutes. Again, guys, appreciate you for tagging along. If you have any last questions about whatever, we'll be back again Saturday breaking down the next week of NFL games. Trying to figure out if we're going to do an NBA stream here on Friday. So trying to work out the details on that. Let us know if you want that. Jake has a question, says, any idea on Dalvin and his injuries?
Yeah, like Chris's response, claim Alexander Madison. We'll see. So Dalvin, it looked like, just reading some reports from trusted medical professionals, like Dalvin injured himself a couple weeks ago against Denver, and then aggravated it last night late in the first half, and then aggravated for good early in the second half. He said he could have gone back in. Dr. David Chow, Pro Football Doc, said it's an SC joint sprain, which is that clavicle to sternum joint, which can be painful, and it's really just a pain tolerance issue at this point. So I imagine they'll get him good to go. But again, like Chris said, Madison's a high value, high upside backup that should be popular in a lot of waivers this week.
Yep, makes sense. Season-long question for you before we get out of here.
All right.
I have Austin Eckler and Miles Sanders. Should I claim Madison for any of them?
I think you have to keep both of those guys. I would get Madison for some other player in your roster, though, I think.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I made my work playoff league with a 5-9 record. 5 and 8.
That's impressive, most
Yeah,
really.
off the technicality. All right. Before we get out of here, Lucas, mention the guys taking down Cowboys Thursday night to help you snag that wild card playoff spot.
Yes, mention them, take them down.
Yep. Bismarck says, I love this community we have. Yep. All right. Shout outs before we all head out of here. I'm Moose. You can follow me on Twitter at CFB_Moose. You can follow Brian at BrianJesterFF on Twitter. We're from OccupyFantasy.com at OccupyFantasy on Twitter. Access to our full daily plug and Occupy model for as low as $2 per week. As Brian mentioned earlier, you get, for the next at least couple of weeks, access to DFS Magic, lineup optimizers Brian's used and the owners used to win over $1.1 million, 1.2 I think now. If you like what we do, follow us on Twitter, Twitch as well. If you really like what we do, go ahead and subscribe. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free, and that gives you access to our Discord channel. If you're a subscriber and you don't have access to our Discord channel, hit us up. We'll make sure we give you over the link.
Yeah, Moose, you got the Fade the Public shirt on. Let's see the shirt. Are you gonna wear that down in PR?
Yes. So I have the hot shirt of the summer, the Fade the Public in pink. It is absolutely fantastic. I love it. Also got a couple tank tops. If you really like what we do, we have a merch store, OccupyFantasy.com. Hit the merch link, and you can get some of that like there.
It's gonna be suns out, guns out with the chaos tanks.
Yep. All right. Did I cover it all?
I think so.
Cool beans. So with that being said, I'm out of here, and have a good night, guys.
See you guys.